morning everybody and welcome to Literacy This Morning. We are going to be looking at story language this morning and how you can use words to help you create a story, writing our Beauty and the Beast story. So I've written some words on the board and we're going to read through them. We've got once upon a time, which we see in lots of fantasy and fairy tale stories. And we've got next, which we would use when something happened next. After that, suddenly, we might come across a problem in the story. We have to say suddenly something happened. In the end. And then at the end I've got happily ever after, because in lots of fairy tales, in the end things turn out happily ever after, and that's how we would end our story. So we're going to think about the beginning of the story together and which phrase we might use at the beginning. Do you think we should put in the end at the beginning of our story? No, that wouldn't make sense. Most fairy tale stories begin with once upon a time. Okay? And what happens at the beginning of this story? Who do we meet in the very beginning? The merchant and his daughters. He has two daughters and a third daughter who is called Beauty. Two daughters who are not very nice and unkind, and Beauty who is kind and thoughtful. Okay, and the merchant wants to go to the market to sell some things, and he asks his daughters what they would like him to bring back for them. The two mean daughters request dresses, and Beauty asks him to bring back for her a rose and his safe return because she's worried about him. So we're going to write the beginning of the story. We're going to use once upon a time and next, okay? Because that's going to help us explain the beginning part of our story. Okay, so I've written the first sentence to show you how to use once upon a time. You introduce the characters. Once upon a time, there lived a merchant and his three daughters. And I've used a conjunction word, full stop, and a capital letter. So that's how I know my sentence is complete. Okay, but it's not enough information. I want to know about three daughters. So in the story, they say that Beauty is the kindest daughter. So I'm going to say Beauty was the kindest daughter. And I need a capital letter because it's a new sentence and it's also, name is Beauty. And we use a capital letter for names and the beginning of a sentence. So I'm going to put it after my full stop, capital letter. Beauty. You might want to write that name down on your whiteboard because that's a really tricky word to spell, so that when it comes to your writing, you know how to spell it, okay? Beauty was is a red word, so I need to think about what the tricky part is. Even though it sounds like an was. It's one of our red words, we can't sound it out, okay? Beauty was the kindest. Kindest is a long word, so I'm going to split it into two parts. Kindest. Kindest. And I know that ist is an est. Beauty was the kindest daughter. This is another word you might want to write on your whiteboard because it's very tricky to spell. Okay, daughter. Beauty was the kindest daughter. So I've added some more information to my story. I know that the merchant has three daughters, but I'm telling you some more. I'm telling you that Beauty was the kindest daughter. I'm going to put my full stop here. I've finished another sentence. Okay, but she wasn't just Beauty, she had sisters, and the dad, the merchant, asked them if they would like anything from the market. And the sisters asked for dresses, but Beauty asked for a rose. So I'm going to say her sisters asked for dresses, but Beauty asked for a rose. Okay, and that tells me what's happening at the beginning. We're still using once upon a time because it's still the beginning of the story. Okay, so her sisters, her, capital H is a H. Her sisters, S, I, S, T, S. Her sisters asked sounds like a T, but it's a D on the end. Her sisters asked for shut the door. Dresses. D, R, S. Dress is. Her sisters asked for dresses. I'm reading back my sentence so that I know it makes sense. Her sisters asked for dresses, but conjunction word to make my sentence longer. But Beauty, now Beauty's needs a capital letter because it's a name. Even if it's in the middle of a sentence, you still put a capital letter when it's a name. But Beauty, remember you can write that word down for later. But Beauty asked for, shut the door, a rose. O phone home sound, the E's on the end. Okay. Her sisters asked for dresses, but Beauty asked for a rose. Have I missed something off the end? Yes, I need a full stop. Okay, so I've done 3 sentences all about the beginning of the story. Once upon a time, there lived a merchant and his 3 daughters. Beauty was the kindest daughter. Her sisters asked for dresses, but Beauty asked for a rose. Okay, so that gives us some information about the characters. So now we need to move on from Once Upon a Time because we know about the characters and we know who's in the story. So now I'm going to say what happens in the beginning. So I'm going to use next because the next thing that happens is the merchant goes to the market and he gets lost. Okay, so I'm going to use my next story time word, next. And I need a capital N for next. N. Next. The merchant, that's the dad. I'm not going to write merchant there because I don't think I'll be able to squeeze it on. I'm going to start a new line. I'm trying to make sure my handwriting's nice and neat. Next, the merchant went. Went to the market. Let's sound that out. I'll start the car. Market. Next, the merchant went to the market and he got lost. Need an orange for my and because it's a conjunction word. And he got lost. And on the end of that sentence, I'm not going to put a full stop. I'm going to put an exclamation mark to show shock, because that's surprising. He got lost. Okay, so I've used the story words once upon a time and next so far. I don't need another one yet because I need to explain how the merchant is feeling. Okay, I need to give some more information, but I can do that in a new sentence. It doesn't all have to be in one sentence, otherwise they get too long. Next, the merchant went to the market and he got lost. So how do we think the merchant was feeling when he got lost in the forest? That's right, I think he was very frightened. So I'm going to say he was very frightened. Capital letter H. So he was very frightened. I fly high. Fright. He was very frightened. I'm going to put a full stop on the end. So far I've told you about the beginning of the story using once upon a time and next. You can use this part of the story for your beginning part of the story, or you can make it your own, use your own words. But then the next part of the story you need to think of on your own. So you're going to use some of these words. If you're going to at the middle of the story, where the merchant goes into the castle and he takes a rose for Beauty, his daughter, and suddenly, what happens? The beast pops out of the bushes and scares the merchant, and he tells him that he has to stay in the castle. But he agreed that he would send Beauty instead. So Beauty went to the castle and they became friends. But then what happened? So then you might use after that. After that, Beauty looked in the magic mirror and saw her dad was poorly. Okay. In the end, what happens? Beauty goes back to the castle and they fall in love and live happily ever after. Okay, so you can write a shortened version of the story. You don't have to get every piece of information from the story in there because that would take too long, but nice and short, explaining what happens in the beginning, what happens in the middle, and what happens at the end. Okay, I'm looking forward to reading your stories because I think they'll be wonderful. Okay, so I'll speak to you soon. Bye.